long for just before doing a run. So I guess what we looked at was not going too deep into, say, the hip joints, into the knees, working a little bit just into warming up, getting a little bit of mobility into the joints, so we're not kind of just going from complete stillness and stiffness right into activity. Today I'm going to look at a little warm down practice. Okay, so nice and short, maybe 10-15 minutes, but just something that you can do immediately after a workout or maybe a race. And it's, again, I guess what we're looking at here is we're wanting to relax the muscles. We're trying to get rid of the lactic acid from the muscles, and nothing too strong, nothing too intense. So the muscles and the joints are already a little bit fatigued, so we don't want to be putting any pressure. We're not working on strength in these kind of sessions. So just about getting a nice little bit of blood flow and getting the lactic acid out. So we're going to start lying on our backs, as we might want to do after a tough session. And then we're going to bring the soles of the feet together, allow the knees drop out to the side, and just rest the right hand on the belly, left hand on the chest. We're going to draw the shoulder blades together and see if we can press the lower back into the mat. So almost imagine the belly button pressing its way toward the back of the spine. And with that, the knees might start to rise, and then we want to draw the knees out again. So just a nice little gentle release into the hips. As we inhale, I want you to draw that breath deep into the belly, feeling the belly rise, draw it right up into the rib cage, right up into the chest, feeling that left hand rise, and then just sigh it out through the lips. We do 2 more like that. Inhale, belly, rib cage, chest, and release it. Last one, belly, rib cage, chest, and release it. Let it go. Lovely. From here, we're going to bring the arms out in line with the shoulders, palms down, and then we're going to bring the knees together and bring the feet about the width of the mat apart. So knees are just knocked toward each other, again pressing the lower back into the mat. This is a lovely little gentle release into the hips. We're going to bring a little bit of movement into this. As we inhale, again, pressing that lower back into the mat. As we exhale, we're going to allow both knees drop over to the right, gaze goes over toward the left. Inhale back to center, exhale, knees drop to the left, gaze goes over the right. Inhale center, exhale right, inhale center, exhale left. So continue that for a few more breaths, really drawing the knees down toward the ground. Looking over the opposite shoulder just allows us to get that twist, the full length of the spine. Last one, back to center. We're going to bring the knees together, feet together. We're going to hug that right knee in and extend fully out through the left leg. And we're going to keep the right hand on the shin, placing the left hand on the left hip bone. As we inhale, hug the knee in toward the body. And as we exhale, drawing that right knee out beside us. So again, just getting a nice little release into our psoas muscle here. So what we're trying to do as well, so when you think when we've been going for a run, we've been constantly compressing into the front of our body. So tightening into the chest, tightening into the hips, weakening into the posterior chain of the body. We haven't been doing much rotations unless we've been very much off-road and kind of rock hopping. So we want to bring a little bit of movement into the other planes within the body, try to create a wee bit of space into the chest and a little bit more openness into the hips. We're going to make a few nice big circles into that right hip. So we're just using that right hand to guide the leg through all planes of motion. So we're drawing the leg across the body, feeling a little stretch into the glutes, knee into the chest, knee outwards, and then extend it out fully through that right heel. So we can keep the hand on the leg, or we can take it off altogether if we feel that that's restricting the movement. And again, this is just lovely to get a little bit of non-load bearing activity into that right hip. Just notice how it feels. So again, if we've been holding ourselves, if we've been overcompensating on one side more so than the other as we run, we're going to feel it in the hips. And it's really important that we just allow the hips to relax and just reverse it in the other direction. And allow that blood flow back into the joint. And even just noticing if it feels a little bit niggly, a little bit tight. And then hug it back into center. We're going to bring the left knee into meet. And then we're going to extend the right leg out fully, keeping the left hand on the shin, right hand onto the right hip. And as we exhale, we're going to draw that left knee outward beside us on the mat, toward the ground beside us. Again, we're just trying to create a wee bit of space into the front of the pelvis and a little bit of rotation into that left hip joint. Again, relax the breath. Every exhale, seeing if we can get a little bit deeper into that left hip. And just notice if that right hip's coming off the mat, and we can press that right hand just a little bit onto the hip to draw the right side of the body down onto the mat. Feel that space across the pelvis. And again, bringing that knee back to center, and we're going to create those lovely big circles now into the left hip joint. So again, we can use the hand to guide the leg, or we can take it off all together. Really drawing that leg across the body, pressing out through the heel, drawing the hip nice and wide, hugging the knee into the chest. So it's a full range of motion into that hip in our rotation. Obviously, we're not extending it forward or back. So we're just trying to get a little bit of movement, maybe a movement that we haven't been using while we run. So again, just allowing the blood flow into the joint, and then reverse it in the other direction. And just notice the little clicks and pops. They're perfectly normal. We've got a lot of little tendons and muscles rolling across the joint here. So once it's not accompanied by pain, we're all good. Ah, lovely. And then hugging that left knee in, hugging right knee in to meet it. We're going to draw both knees outside the line of the body now, so out toward the armpits, toward the ground beside us. Checking that lower back is grounded onto the mat, so we're not rocking and rolling. And we're going to bring the soles of both feet parallel to the ceiling. We can either hold onto the calves, shins, ankles, inner arches of the feet, or we can interlock the middle and index finger around the big toe. Wherever we're at, again, we want to make sure that lower back is grounded into the mat. We're going to inhale, press the soles of the feet up toward the ceiling. And as we exhale, we're going to draw those knees down toward the ground beside us. Inhale, press it up. Exhale, draw the knees down. Inhale, pressing up. Exhale, a little bit wider into those hips. And again, you can do this for a few more. So again, just creating that space into the hips. From here, we're going to hug the knees in toward the chest. We're going to crisscross the ankles, and we're going to take 3 or 4 rolls forward and back along the mat, using that motion to really massage into the full length of the spine. And when you've taken your 3 or 4 rolls, we're going to engage with the core to slowly draw ourselves up to seat. Lovely. So sitting at the front of the mat, again, nice and gentle here. Easy cross-legged if it's good. If not, you can sit back onto the heels. We're going to rest the hands onto the knees. As we inhale, we're going to draw the chest forward, gaze up toward the ceiling, arch the lower back. As we exhale, pressing the hands into the knee, curling through the upper back, looking down toward the belly and tucking the chin in. Inhale, gaze goes forward and up, arching. Exhale, curling through, releasing through the shoulder blades. Inhale, forward and up, arching. Exhale, curling through and release. Bring a little bit of twist rotation here. As we inhale, we're going to draw the chest toward the left, pressing it forward, and as we exhale, drawing back through the spine. So same movement, but just bringing a little bit of rotation into the lower back. Feeling this little stretch into the glute as you move the body forward. And again, getting as low into the front of the body as we can, but keeping the spine nice and long. And then reverse it in the other direction. Again, really curling through the spine, really opening the heart forward. Look forward as we move forward, look toward the belly as we move back. So again, all nice and gentle, just releasing it in through the spine here. And then gently coming back to center. From here, we're going to extend that right leg out so that the left foot hugs the inner thigh of the right. We're going to place the left hand behind us, fingertips are facing back, and we're going to inhale the right fingertips up toward the ceiling. As we exhale, we're going to press the hips toward the ceiling, pressing the right foot and left knee into the ground and really extending quite actively back through that right arm. Really press the way through the fingertips, lifting those hips for 3, for 2, and 1. Slowly release it back to center. We're going to reverse the legs. So again, sole of the right foot hugs the inner thigh. We're going to place that right hand behind us, fingertips are facing back. We're going to inhale, left arm up toward the ceiling, extending through the fingertips. And as we exhale, pressing the hips up, pressing that left foot, right knee into the ground, really pressing the ground away with that right arm as we extend back through that left arm, reaching back through the fingertips, gaze goes back, hips are pressing upward all the time for 3, for 2, and 1. Slowly release it back to center. Back to our crisscross legs. A few little twists here. We're going to inhale the left arm up and across the body, resting it just above the right knee. And then we're going to inhale the right arm up, rotating back through the right shoulder. Fingertips point backward. And we're going to draw that right shoulder back, looking back over the shoulder if it feels okay on the neck. As we inhale, lengthening the spine. And as we exhale, seeing if we could twist a little bit more, almost drawing the body parallel to the side of the room. So we're not falling back into that right arm. That right arm is just there to remind us to sit nice and tall into the spine. Again, remember this can be done sitting back onto the heels as well, if cross-legged doesn't feel so good for you. We're going to inhale back to center. Small little micro twist, little bend to the left. And then release. Same thing on the other side. Right arm reaches up across the body, resting it just over the left knee. Inhale, left fingertips up toward the ceiling, rotating through that left shoulder, resting the hand as close as we can to the lower back. Fingers point back, and we're drawing that left shoulder back, and a lovely twist throughout the spine here. As we inhale, we're thinking about lengthening the spine through the crown of the head. And as we exhale, we're looking back over that left shoulder. Again, drawing the chest parallel to the side of the room. So again, getting a nice little bit of twist and rotation into the body. Reacting against that forward motion that we've been doing in a run. And then slowly inhale back to center, gently drawing both hands over to the right, small little bend to the right to release that twist, and then drawing it right back up to center. So we're going to do a little bit of a flow, again, not holding any of the poses, so just to get the lactic kind of through the legs, get a little stretch in behind the legs. So coming on to all fours, we're going to tuck the toes under and we're going to press the sit bones back toward the heels, press on the ground away, and just getting a nice little stretch into the arches of the feet here. Gaze can go back toward the belly, or maybe toward the chest, give the neck a little stretch. And then from here, keeping the toes tucked under, we're going to press the hips toward the ceiling, pressing the ground away, keeping the shoulders strong, but drawing the chest down toward the ground. Keeping the hips lifted and then drawing the heels down toward the mat. And we're just going to walk out our downward dog here. So feet are about hip width distance apart. Feel that lovely stretch into the hamstrings, into the calves, particularly after a run and even before a run. Walking it out in our downward dog is so nice for the legs. And we're helping create a little bit of space in that lower back as we lift the hips toward the ceiling. Maybe rocking through the hips, looking out underneath opposite armpits. Again, just feeling that lactic flow out through the legs. Coming to stillness, we're going to inhale up forward, gently walk to the front of the mat. Slowly release into a nice deep forward fold. So bend to the knees until the belly rests on the legs. Allow the head, neck, upper body, literally release and relax toward the ground. And then gently tucking the chin in, we're going to slowly rise up to stand. So again, you can even hold it there. So I'm just going to break our cool down practice into 3 sections. So that could be one in its own, if that feels okay. If you want to just flush out the muscles a little bit, we're going to do a little gentle flow here. Again, just 1 round on both sides. So we're going to come to the front, feet are grounded. Really spreading through all corners of the feet, hands to heart center. Drawing the shoulder blades back together, away from the ears. Engage the core, engage the quads. Small little bend to the knees. And we're going to inhale, arms out, reaching up. Exhale, swan dive, forward fold. Inhale, gaze forward, hands to shins, nice flat back. Exhale, fold. Stepping right foot back to lunge. Dropping right knee down, inhale, both arms up in line with the ears. As we exhale, we're going to twist to the left, and then we're going to drop that left hand on the back leg, extending that right arm back overhead, getting a lovely stretch into the right side of the body and into the front of that right hip here. Breathing for 3, for 2, and 1. Slowly open it back to the left. Inhale, hands back to heart center, and then gently press the hands down toward the mat. We're going to walk that left foot out to the very outside of the mat, untuck the right toe, and then we're going to gently inch that right foot back. So we're getting a little bit more into the hips and heart here. Again, because we have already warmed up into the muscles, we can go a little bit deeper into our stretches than we would in our warm-up. But again, we're going to choose here to stay high in the fingertips. So we're working into a lovely chest opener along with the hips. Looking at the back, it's nice and long, so we're not curling up through the spine. We're trying to press the chest forward, draw the shoulder blades back. You can keep that left knee stacked over the left ankle or a little bit behind, but we don't want to have the knee forward of the foot here if we can avoid it. As we inhale, think about lifting the chest forward. As we exhale, allow the hips sink a little bit more. So chest and hips are both facing directly forward here. And just feel that lovely release. Again, if you've been practicing with me before, you can always go a little bit deeper into the hips. But just for today, we're going to keep that openness into the chest, drawing those shoulder blades back. We can hold this for a lot longer. I shouldn't really say hold, so we're allowing our body just fall into the pose as opposed to holding the pose. From here, we're going to bring the right hand to the center. We're going to place that left hand just below the left knee, looking back over the left shoulder. We're going to press that left hand into the leg, drawing that left shoulder back. Get an extra little stretch into the front of the right hip, holding it for 3, for 2, and 1. Slowly release it back to center. From here, we're going to tuck that right toe under, and we're going to sit back toward the right heel. If you've got 2 blocks here, all the better. We can place our hands on the block, and we can keep that nice length in the spine. If you don't have the blocks, that's quite okay. We're just going to come onto our fingertips, working the chest forward, working the sit bones back toward that heel. And if we want to bring a little bit deeper stretch into the hamstring, again, if it's warmed up, we can draw those left toes toward the face. So you just want to feel that stretch into the belly of the hamstring. So not underneath the knee, not right up by the sit bones. Releasing with each exhale for 3, for 2, and 1. Slowly coming back to the front of the mat. We're just going to step that right knee in so that it's stacked underneath the hip. We're going to bend the right knee, bringing the left hand to center, and we're going to reach back for that right foot. So just getting a little bit of a quad stretch here. So fingertips are on the ground, or we can bring the hand to rest on that left leg just to get a little bit deeper into that quad. And again, I'm just gently holding the foot. I can bring a little bit deeper by bending the elbow up toward the ceiling, working that right shoulder forward. I'm pressing the foot into the hand. So really actively getting into that quad. Again, particularly if we've been doing a lot of climbing or running, it's really nice just to release the quads here. And then gently, slowly release, bring both hands back to the mat, tucking that right to wander, gently drawing the left foot back to meet it, and nice and gently walking it out in our downward dog. Feeling that lovely stretch. Inhale, right leg up. We're going to bend the right knee, opening the hips to the right side of the room, drawing that left heel down toward the ground, pressing both hands evenly into the mat as we lift that knee a little bit more. So just a nice little release into the hips, into the front of the body here. Back into our three-legged dog, looking forward between the hands, stepping right foot into lunge with control. Left foot to meet it. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rolling up through center, hands extended up. Exhale, swan dive, forward fold. Inhale, gaze forward, hands to shins, nice flat back. Exhale, fold. In our folds, particularly after a run, keep a little micro bend to the knees, so we don't need to hyperflex or hyperextend here. Draw left foot back to lunge. Allow left knee come down. We're going to inhale, both arms up, in line with the ears. Exhale, hands to heart. Inhale, lengthen, and as we exhale, we're going to twist the arms open to the right, opening the palms, holding it here, feeling that lovely release. And then we're going to rest that right hand onto the back leg. Inhale, left fingertips up toward the ceiling and extend that left arm back overhead. Gaze can go up if it feels okay, and feeling that lovely stretch into the sideways, into the front of the body. Keep the core engaged for 3, for 2, and 1. Slowly open the arms back to the right. Inhale, hands back to heart center, and then rest both hands back out in front. From here, we're going to step untuck the left foot, get a little bit wider into the hips here. So step that right foot to the very outside of the mat, coming high up onto the fingertips, again, really opening the heart to the front of the room, walking that left foot back as far as is comfortable, and again, checking in, knees in line with ankle. So if it's slightly behind, not so bad, but we don't want our bum to pop up if we can avoid it, but we don't want to be compressing into that right knee joint here. So the whole thing here is staying high so we can keep the hips low. If the hips start popping up, you can see there already that I'm compressing into my hips. So I'm trying to open into my hips. So again, staying high in the fingertips, allowing the hips sink evenly toward the ground. Pressing the chest forward, rolling the shoulder blades back. And just really enjoy that nice little release into the hips. Relax the breath. Every exhale, see if we can deepen it just a little bit more. And again, you could hold this or fall into this for a lot longer if you want to work a little bit deeper into the fascia. But for today, we're going to bring that left hand to the center, onto the flat of the hand. We're going to press that right hand just below the right knee, and we're going to look back over the right shoulder. Again, really draw that right shoulder back, feeling an extra little stretch into the front of the left hip. And using that connection of the hand and the leg as an extra little strut to see if we can really draw that twist throughout the full length of the spine. Gaze goes back over the shoulder if it feels okay. For 3, for 2, and 1. Slowly release it. Back to center. Back up onto the fingertips. We're going to tuck that left to wander, and we're going to gently sit back toward that left heel. Again, if you have the 2 blocks, placing the hands either side, or we can come on to the fingertips. Again, sitting back toward that left heel. If we want to get a little stretch into the hamstring, we're going to draw the right toes toward the face. We're going to press the chest forward and keep bringing that weight back into the hips toward the heel. So we're not sitting on the heel, but the motion is back toward the heel. The more we flex that right foot, the more we draw that toe toward us, we're going to feel it into the lower leg here as well. So wherever you want to feel that stretch and release. for 3, for 2, and 1. Slowly coming back to the front of the mat. We're going to step that left knee in until it's stacked over the hip. And again, we can stay low here if we wish, bringing the right hand to the center, bending the left knee and reaching back for that left foot. Or we can stay high. I prefer high myself, but again, just see where you're at. Resting that right hand on the thigh, pressing the foot into the hand and feeling that little stretch into the quad. We're pressing the foot, but we're drawing that heel toward the bum. Again, if you want to get a little bit deeper, we can curl the hand over the feet, drawing that elbow up toward the ceiling, pressing the chest forward, drawing the shoulder blades back, holding it here for 3, for 2, and 1. Slowly release. Left hand comes to the mat, right hand comes to meet it, tucking that left toe under if it's not tucked already, and we're going to bring that right foot back, and then draw it down to meet the left. Walking it out nice and gentle. Last little bit of our flow here, and you can repeat this as many times as you feel the body needs it. We're going to inhale that left leg up, bending the left knee, opening the hips to the left side of the room, drawing that right heel toward the ground, pressing both hands evenly into the mat in front, and then we're going to lift that knee a little bit more, really feeling that lovely space into the front of the body. For 3, for 2, and 1. Back to 3-legged dog, looking forward between the hands. We're going to step that left foot to the front of the mat. Again, in as many steps as you need. Right foot to meet it. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rolling up through center. Hands extended up. Exhale, hands to heart. And again, that might be enough for your cool down. My last little bit, which I love, is we're going to bring it to the wall. So I'm just going to tilt my camera around here a little bit. Move the furniture out of the way. There we go. So we're going to get our mats. We're going to place them so that they're perpendicular to the wall. I've done this in another video before, but it's a really lovely one to have after a good session. So again, perpendicular to the wall. I'm going to scooch my body as close to the wall as I can, but not right up beside it. And then I'm going to gently lie back onto the mat. I'm going to extend my legs up against the wall, and maybe I can shimmy my way a little bit closer to the wall. What we want is that our lower back remains grounded onto the mat, so it doesn't start rolling up. If it does, just back away. So we can just hang out here, literally, legs up the wall, bringing the arms out into little cactus arms, so like opposite elves facing each other. If we want to really release into those hips, we can draw the legs nice and wide into a lovely V shape, and then allowing the wall to take the full weight of the legs. So those heels are connected, the feet are dropped out. And again, I could stay here for as long as I wish. So this is a really lovely one to finish off your cool down or your warm down, should I say. And you really can just hang out here for as long as possible. You can read a book, listen to music, just totally switch off and just feel. So this is a form of inversion. So you're allowing the blood flow, you're allowing the lactic, little bit of a reverse motion through the blood vessels. It's just a little reset. Again, if you're in cactus arms and the hands aren't supported on the ground, just bring them down by the sides or rest them onto the belly. So you should feel quite relaxed in the upper body here. That's just to get an extra little stretch as our cactus arms. So again, hang out here for as long as you want, or come back into this when we finish the video here. And then we're going to bring the legs gently back to center. I'm going to hug the right knee into the chest. Give it a nice little squeeze. And then I'm going to rest that right ankle just below the left knee, coming into my figure 4. So I can rest the ankle, or I can get a little bit deeper and rest the outer blade of that right foot onto the thigh. We're working that right knee away from us. And again, checking in the lower back is still on the ground. And if I want to get a little bit deeper into the hip and glute, I'm just going to bend the left knee, bringing the left foot flat onto the ground, or onto the wall, should I say. And then I can gently scooch that left foot down the wall until I start to feel quite a nice stretch into the right hip and right glute. And again, you don't need to go too low. Again, we're checking in that lower back is still on the mat. So I could go a lot lower with this left foot, but then my back starts to roll off the mat. So anytime we go deep into our hips, we want to make sure that lower back is nice and supported. And again, your choice of arms, you can bring them back overhead, cactus, rest the hands on the belly. You can even place your right hand on the leg, left hand on the foot, so whatever feels good. So we're still working that right knee away, that left knee toward us. And even as we stay in this pose, we might even walk the left foot down the wall a little bit more. So the fascia starts to open up. So we're already after opening up into the fascia with our run. So it's a little bit easier to go into these deeper poses then. I wouldn't do this in a warm-up unless it was a long warm-up and it was close to the end. Again, we can hang out here for a lot longer, so feel free to come back into this lovely pose. And then we're going to scooch that left foot back up the wall. Right foot really gently, hugging that right knee in, and then extending it up to meet the left. And then we're going to hug that left knee in. Nice squeeze into the body, and then we're going to rest that left ankle below the right knee, so not on the knee itself, or we might get the outer blade of that left foot and rest it onto the thigh. Again, you can choose just to stay here, working that left knee away if that feels good, or even bringing a little hamstring stretch into it by drawing the right toes toward the face. Again, beautiful stretch in itself. Or if we want to get a little bit more into the hip and glutes, we're going to bend that right knee, bringing the right foot flat onto the ground, and then gently walking that right foot down the wall, but checking in that lower back is still nice and supported. So we're letting the wall take the full weight of the foot. So sometimes we do this figure 4 out in the mat, but we're having to hold the leg in place. So this way we can actually get a little bit deeper. It's a little bit more restorative. And again, think about your breath. Every inhale, think about the space in the chest, the lengthening of the spine, and every exhale, think about deepening a little bit more into that left hip and that left glute. And again, we can choose to hang out here for a lot longer if it feels good for you. So this is for after run. It's also very good for any sport really, cycling as well. I mean, any sport that you're in that constant forward plane or that sagittal plane where you're always kind of compressing to the front and weakening into the posterior chain, into the back muscles. And so this is just a nice little general cool down, but we're just doing it specifically for runners today. Again, feel free to hang out here for a little bit longer. I'm just going to extend that right foot up along the wall. I'm going to really gently hug that left knee back in toward the chest. Nice little squeeze. And then gently allow that left foot to come back up to meet right. And again, I can hang out here for another little while, just with my legs up the wall, best recovery pose ever. And you can literally stay out here for as long as you wish. But today, I'm going to have to finish the video. So again, if you want, you can always hang in here for a little bit more. Another little variation of this is to bring the soles of the feet together and come into a nice easy diamond shape. So again, depending on where the hips are at, this mightn't be that comfortable. So if it does feel good, I love it myself, but if it doesn't feel good, just maybe bring the legs back up the wall. You can just place the hands on the inner thighs. So we're not pressing the legs apart, but it's just that extra little weight onto the inner thighs, allowing us a little bit more space into those hips. And again, we can stay here for as long as we wish. When we are getting deep into the hips though, just make sure when you're coming out of it that the movements are really slow and controlled. So in this case, we're going to hug those knees in toward the chest, maybe rocking a little bit on the lower back. And then we're going to gently roll over onto our right hand side. Maybe take a breath here and then gently press the hand into the ground to slowly bring ourselves up to seat. And I'm going to finish it here today. So there are a few little ideas. You don't have to do that full sequence. So it's kind of broken into 3 when we're lying on the mat, to our little active flow sequence, which gets a little bit deeper into the heart and into the hips. and then 3, our third one, where we're up against the wall. So if you don't have time, I'd probably go for up against the wall, because it really is a lovely way of just flushing out the legs, particularly after a hard session. And if you're absolutely exhausted, it's probably the easiest one to go into. But it is nice to get a little bit of rotation, a little bit of twist in through the body as well, because we want to release that kind of tension into the front of the body if we can. So even if it's just taking a few little twists combined with legs up against the wall. So I've gone totally over on time, but you've gotten 3 sessions for the price of 1 there. But yeah, just hydrate, again, another thing. And just kind of gentle movements. You know, you can go deep because the body is warmed up, but no kind of sudden movements, because the body is still quite tight as well, particularly if we have been holding ourselves in a run. So relax, enjoy, and have a lovely day. Thank you. Namaste.